I want to play? So many options. What am I even in the mood for? I could play Quake. No. I could play Silent Hill 2. No. No. Deadly Premonition? Maybe? No. I just don't know what sounds like fun. Maybe an RPG? Yeah. Oblivion and Morrowind. I think I have Skyrim around here somewhere too. Let's see. No More Heroes, Mortal Kombat, God of War, Duke Nukem, Skyrim. Perfect. Now just to pick one. This is a really tough decision. I don't know which one to choose. This Morrowind's cool. I really like it. It's one of my favorites, but I don't know. But Oblivion's super great. I mean, it's so dope and easy to get into. And Skyrim, it's Skyrim. But what about the old ones? What about the first one? Have I ever even played the first one? I remember the cover, but I think that's the one I need to play. Gonna play Elder Scrolls Arena. The first one. I bet it's awesome. Here we go.
With you died our...
The Elder Scrolls Arena. The Elder Scrolls Arena, as most people probably know, is the very first game in the Elder Scrolls series. Published in 1994 by Bethesda Softworks for Microsoft DOS, something some people may not know about, but it's basically an older operating system to play games on. Still pretty much the only way to play this game today. Bethesda has it for free on their website, but I'm getting beside myself. This is the first in a long series of wonderful games. I mean, anyone that's played Skyrim or fucking Oblivion knows, they know the truth. They know. Those games are where it's at. And this first one is nothing like those. So, if that's what you thought, then you were wrong. When you boot this bitch up, you're going to get greeted with this really long exposition. They're really building the lore with this one, which is really cool to see where it all started from, but it's old, it's kind of silly. Basically, Jaeger Tharn betrays the Emperor, kills his magic lady, and begins to pretty much take over the Empire. He's a long-running bad guy within the series, pretty much, from the first and second one, but we'll get to Daggerfall at a later point. This is just about something that I don't know. The plot isn't that it's bad, it's just not catching. It's not like Oblivion, where you have the gates and fucking you got all these Daedric princes trying to destroy us, and you got Patrick Stewart being like, follow the stars. And in this one, you just have, Jägermeister Tharn guy. So whenever you start, you're going to generate your class, or you can select your class. Anyone with a brain's just going to select their class, because generating it is stupid. They ask you questions, and it's a whole process that you really don't want to deal with. It's really cool seeing this is something that kind of isn't in RPGs anymore. It's just a wide range of classes. I always thought that was really cool. Much like the Ultima series, this game it's got a lot to offer for an RPG lover. Just for a game lover, it's really lacking. So after you name yourself, you select your class, you're going to move on to the game, pretty much. It's going to make you choose male or female. Maybe that hasn't aged well. That just depends on the type of person that you are. I'm not here to judge. And then you select your province. Now, for a first game in a series with no pre-existing anything, it seems strange to me to not give more information. When you start, you don't know shit about these places. You just gotta click on them, and it'll give you some info, and you're supposed to just, go with it. And that's stupid. I don't like it. It bothers me. But whatever. So then from here, they're going to give you the opportunity to really give your character the finishing touch after you've selected their weird-ass province. You're gonna increase skills, and this is really important because you will get fucked from the get-go if you don't do this properly. If you're a magical character, don't increase your strength, or you're just not going to do very well. And then whatever, just make sure you do that properly. Then select your face out of the 5 faces that it has. They all look really goofy. It's the bare minimum of character customization. Unlike the later ones, this one is strictly played in first person, so I guess it really doesn't fucking matter. It's just for the stupid picture. From here, the Emperor's Magic Lady is going to tell you all about what's going on. Typical Elder Scrolls fashion. You're the only hope. The Empire is going to be destroyed by Jaegertharn unless you can get the Staff of Staffs to destroy him. It's the whole game is basically a big fetch quest. You're supposed to go around and get all the pieces to this magical staff, and that way you can defeat him. It sounds like an Indiana Jones movie, but it's Elder Scrolls Arena. After that, you do the typical Elder Scrolls fashion of tutorials and begin in a dungeon. From here, you're going to figure out your controls, how the UI works, combat, and to be honest, I guess this is really where the game goes downhill, because all the mechanics that make a game work in this game don't work. Granted, for the time, this would have made me happy, but it's just, it's aged so poorly, it's so clunky. The mouse or the buttons can be used to move around. It gets in the way. You don't know what any of these buttons at the bottom do. You don't know anything. And basically, you just got to click around until you figure it out. I mean, it's clunky. Really clunky. And this dungeon sucks. It's very convoluted. The map system in this game can get real annoying real quick. I mean, when you first start out, you don't know, but if you click on it, it just brings up a local dungeon map. You have to right-click on stuff because right-click has an alternate option. It's ridiculous. They don't tell you at all. To go along with that, all the loot in this game is randomized to a point to where something you may have gotten before, when you die, it's not there anymore, and trust me, you're gonna die a lot. This game's hard. The best way, I'd say, to play the Elder Scrolls Arena is to kill, save, do something cool, save, get a piece to the staff, save, breathe, save, 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 save. If you're not saving, you're fucking up, because if you don't save in this game, I mean, just tons of work can be lost in a second. It's ridiculous. I can't even count how many times I've died and just lost so much progress. It's hurtful. I guess it goes along with the title, though. Fun fact, whenever they were developing this game, they wanted it to be just a strictly arena-based, fighting game. Hence all the promotional material, the giant-breasted, bikini-clad lady on the front cover. The whole game was supposed to be like Gladiator, but, slowly over time, it just started to develop into an RPG, and it just kind of went from there. And by time that the game was about to be released, most of it was about something completely different than what it was even designed to be. But the promotional stuff was already out. It was done. The covers were drawn. The everything was done. And so they had to make up a lame-ass backstory of Tamriel being so dangerous. They call it the arena. And that's lame. And that's stupid. And it didn't stick, naturally. But just it was just a rough start. I can't say without giving too much away, because we'll talk about it at a later time. The sequel really redeems the series, and I think Daggerfall is what made this game what it was meant to
With
be.
you died our last hope for justice.
So at this point, I'm sure you've died a ton. You're trying to find your way out of the dungeon, and it's killing you inside, because that's pretty much how anyone would feel. This dungeon gets repetitive as all fuck. And after hours of searching, eventually you'll find the exit. And from here, the world is pretty much your oyster. The entire continent of Tamriel is in this game, and it is yours to explore. I'll say, you know, they really lost me with gameplay and maybe mechanics and a little bit of the story, but the game more than makes up for it with just the sheer size. I mean, every town, every anything you can think of. I mean, look at this map. You have everything ever talked about in the Elder Scrolls universe. I mean, you can travel, and I mean, it just goes further and further. You click on the province, and then you see all the cities, and then it tells you how long it'll take to get there. I mean, it's crazy to really see how far it's all come just from this. I mean, the game sucks. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's just not a fantastic game. I mean, a lot of people probably have fond memories of it. It was obviously good enough back in '94 to warrant a sequel, but I mean, even when it was first released, it had lukewarm reviews, and yeah, that's about the best I could probably say about it. And from here, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. The game almost feels like more fetch quests within the already story fetch quest. I mean, any work you ask anyone about, it's just like, oh, go to the local tavern and, blah 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 blah, we'll have a fucking, job for you or whatever. And you go and someone interrupts you and is like, hey, deliver a gold ingot to my friend in this city that you're not going to be able to find. And I mean, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just hard to know what to do, and I know that's kind of the point. You're supposed to just do what you want. You go, it's your world, but they really missed the ball with this one. I think it's an interesting piece of history, but it's not a very playable piece of history. Everything about it just is really, really hard. But enough of my complaining. Let's talk about how it compares to the other Elder Scrolls games. Probably not a fair comparison, but there's at least two others that are sort of like it: Battlespire and Daggerfall. Daggerfall, the three being the best. I mean, that game's like a fantasy simulator with RPG elements. I mean, it's something else. It's great compared to this. But the core mechanics are pretty much the same. You're gonna hunt down whoever is you're supposed to be hunting down. You're gonna try and find the main story quest items if you want, and if not, you can just run around and do whatever the hell you want. That's pretty much what these types of games are about. And I can only imagine that back in '94, running around doing whatever the fuck you wanted on an entire continent as whatever supernatural fantasy creature you wanted to be was pretty exciting. I can't say that I think the game is awesome, as I've mentioned quite a bit, but comparatively speaking, I mean, it's still an Elder Scrolls game. It still has the charm to an extent. It still feels like one, maybe just not as polished. And this isn't the only time that Bethesda will ever put out something like this under the Elder Scrolls IP. Redguard, as much as I don't even want to bring it up, it counts, and it's probably one of the lower points, but we never got Oblivion on the PSP, so I guess we'll never know. But, Arena, it is what it is. You can take it, you can leave it, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty decent CRPG, I guess. Anymore, I think it's kind of hard to play through. I can't say I got any further than going to find the first part of the staff and then dying too much and kind of saying fuck it and putting in one of the other games like Morrowind, which is a perfect game and has aged gracefully. Even though it came out in 2003, it still plays fantastic. This, however, I just can't say the same about, and it makes me feel bad, but, you know, it is what it is. I think, honestly, my favorite part of the entire game was bartering with people and talking to the locals and checking out that sweet fire mountain. But other than that, it's just a lot of running around, dying, talking to people, fighting stuff, going through dungeons, getting shitty loot, and just trying to stay alive. But as far as the first impressions go, it's not something I would have ever seen catching on if I was alive in '94. But it's a staple to the entire genre, and I think that it deserves just a little bit of talk about, even if it is negative. I mean, it's just something that I think needs to always be discussed. The beginnings of some of these big genre-defining games are just so interesting. I mean, look at where Skyrim is. You fight dragons. You fucking fight dragons and speak dragon language and go foom at dragons. That's so badass. That's so cool. They've re-released it over 100 times. It's one of the most popular games of my generation. Everybody loves it. And then only for it to be like, you know, started with, you fighting hair metal band members in dungeons, because that's what everyone in this game looks like as a Megadeth member. But it's interesting, and I think that games like this are really fun to see their humble roots, I guess would be a good way to put it. I mean, sure, combat's clunky and every other part of it sucks, but I mean, it's really cool that you get random shit no matter what. I mean, I was a mega low level character and I ended up getting like boots of levitation, which were really cool in one of the first dungeons I went to. I mean, if you're a true hardcore CRPG gamer or you love the Elder Scrolls, I would recommend this game to you. I would. But don't jump into this thinking, oh, this is going to be like every other Elder Scrolls game. No. The maps are hard. The lizard men are hard. The hair metal band members are hard. I mean, it is a hard game, and it'll really show you how far video games have come. I'd say if anything really does that, it is this game. If you ever want to show someone you really want to see how games have advanced, show them this and show them Skyrim. And I can't even imagine what the next Elder Scrolls game's gonna look like. I mean, it's crazy. These games really do define RPGs in my mind, to an extent. This genre. And I really think the world and the lore is something that most other games don't have this deep. I mean, each little city in this game even kind of looks different. I mean, you never get to see some of this stuff in the newer games, which, I mean, I guess is a plus for this one. You never know what the Red Guard's home province looks like. I mean, it's all sandy, but, it's still kind of cool to see. And as a big fan, I think that that's really cool. And, if that's cool to you, then I would say totally give this a shot. If you've got DOS and a computer, then you can hop on their website and you can get it for free. I'll post the link in the video at the bottom, and then you too can hop into 1994 RPG first-person action at its worst. And then you can come to me and say, I'm sorry, I didn't listen, I played it anyways. But that's okay, because that fits in with the spirit of curiosity, and if anything, this game's the biggest curiosity of the 90s. But those were my thoughts on the Elder Scrolls Arena. Thank you for watching.